So, I bet you've noticed something about the episode title. We've skipped yet another episode. This time it's mainly because that episode was a Rotom Dex episode. And honestly, out of all the new anime casts, Rotom Dex is the worst character. Basically, he's kind of really annoying, and while he does have some pretty funny moments nailing how people react to him, as well as the constant joke of him using standard Pokemon jokes and, well, standard Pokemon tropes being completely oblivious to, such as trainers catching their Pokemon without battles. I think he's kind of supposed to be a stand-in for most gamers who, play the games only and only watch and then watch the anime and figure out, wait, what? That's not how it works in the games and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't feel like suffering through one of his episodes where the only significant change that happens in it, outside of a few funny jokes, namely how Ash and the others react, is that he now has a video camera function. And honestly, that raises a whole host of questions about how the Rotom Dex actually works, but I want to leave all that aside. Now, let's move on to a more interesting subject matter. Mallow now has her very own episode. Honestly, aside from Lily, I think Mallow has the second most fans of the cast, with Lana being third, and it feels kind of weird that we have to wait till episode 18 for her to get her own focus episode. But let's see how this focus episode actually holds up. So let's dig into it, shall we? We begin with Ash and his classmates at Mallow's family restaurant, as the smell of cooking comes in from the kitchen and Pikachu, enticed by it, follows in. And as the others eat their food, a thunderbolt comes from the kitchen, with a slightly sheared and shocked Mallow coming out and telling everyone about the legendary Alolan stew. And after feeding everyone's Pokemon, she feeds them all some stew, and then they all feel the thunderbolt. Everyone questions the stew, and Mallow's father, Abe, explains what happened. The recipe was lost, and apparently Mallow's brother found an old manuscript and made a copy for Mallow, which she used to make the new stew that she's feeding everybody. And apparently, it needs yellow nectar as a secret ingredient to give it a very shocking aftertaste. However, yellow nectar is currently out of season, so Mallow decided to use a thunderbolt as a substitute, as she wants to make the stew as a signature dish for their restaurant. After eating another meal made by Abe, Abe explains that yellow nectar and has a saying that his father told him once. As he leaves, Ash decides that he'll give Mallow a hand in going to search for said nectar, and the pair decide to go looking for the nectar. Ash and Mallow decide to go hunting for yellow nectar in the forest that day, and thanks to Rotom Dex, discover that yellow nectar has some connection to Pom Pom style Oricorio, as it is the key to finding the nectar. They search but have no luck, but Mallow decides to recount her dream of making its dish signature to her restaurant, which Team Rocket overhears. Deciding that since it's rare, the yellow nectar will sell for a pretty high price right now, and they decide to follow them in hopes of stealing it. Meanwhile, Bunsweet unleashes its sweet scent and manages to attract Rowlet yet again for the joke, and actually gives Ash a pretty clever idea. They decide to use sweet scent in order to draw in an Oricorio, in order to follow it to find the nectar, which Bunsweet does, attracting a few flying types, including an Oricorio, which Ash and Mallow decide to chase after as it flies towards a cave. They emerge into a large meadow and spot an Oricorio fly down and sip up some yellow nectar from some yellow flowers, before turning into Pom Pom style Oricorio and running off. They run towards the nectar, but are trapped in a net by Team Rocket, who emerges and does her usual shtick. They start stealing up the yellow nectar, but with Bunsweet, who managed to escape the trap out of the net, decides to try to fight them off. However, it's only able to use sweet scent and can't do much but distract them, with Team Rocket slapping it away due to its, inability to attack. Enraged, Bunsweet jumps in the air and evolves in a way that oddly reminds me of a Magical Girl transformation into Steenie. Steenie attacks Meowth and manages to free the others, with Ash ordering Rowlet to destroy the machine storing the nectar, and Pikachu goes in for the attack to finish everything off, but of course Beware jumps in and snatches up Team Rocket, and jumps off with them. With Team Rocket gone, Mallow decides to take off with the nectar herself. The next day, Mallow feeds the group legendary Alolan stew, and they all say a massive improvement over the original formula she used last time. However, Mallow realizes that since the yellow nectar swings in and out of season, it can be a seasonal dish, but she'll have to continue her search to find a signature dish for her restaurant. So, overall, this episode's a pretty good one. Mallow herself has always been a bundle of energy in the previous episodes, and thankfully she's still like that here. Despite this being her first episode, I think we have just a giant grasp on her current personality enough that this honestly just feels like another day for Mallow, which is pretty good to how well she's been written up until this point. Now, this is the first time we're seeing an evolution in this style, the style for Sun and Moon. And man, have we come a long way from the blue light. As I stated in the review, this reminds me more of a Magical Girl transformation, which at the time made me wonder that if each evolution that we would see on screen would be more personalized for the Pokemon, or given an extra animation bump in order to look cutesy or whatever, depending on the Pokemon, of course. Also, Ash gets a few clever moments here or there. His plan with the Oricorio was actually a pretty smart move for him, as it helped him find a grove in the first place, and again, it was a pretty smart move. It was his plan that actually drew out an Oricorio, which again is a smart move for Ash, so we get 2 Smart Boy cookies today. Also, seeing an Oricorio style change on screen was also interesting. It's good to see these little bits of the Pokemon lore and whatnot fleshed out on screen, instead of what we have in the games, as it leads a bit more of a visual dynamic than what we have from the video games. Again, watching Bunsley evolve into Steenie was yet a great moment, especially watching it double slap the crap out of Meowth, which will go down as one of the best animation cuts in this entire series, at least to me personally, because the look on Meowth's face during that moment is just priceless. Overall, this is a pretty good episode. Not an important one, but one that's really enjoyable. And this is the last of what honestly feels like 10 episodes of filler. Well, almost 10 episodes. We got 2 episodes left that are more plot important. And I'll be talking about those episodes when we get to them tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next time. But if you're curious about what they are, how do you feel about rematches?